episode of my podcast. We're going to call it Isolation Nation. The name is subject to change, but we love the name right now, so we're just going to keep it as Isolation Nation.
It is a really, really nice name. And as far as we're aware, no one else has it. So hey,
we're going to go ahead and take it here. So I'm here with Gabe. Gabe's here. Say hi.
How you doing? I'm here with Henry.
Now stop talking for a couple seconds. Okay, so like I said, we love just talking about movies like all the time, and we decided why not share some of our thoughts with the rest of you all, however many people are even listening to this. But let's get the ball rolling. Gabe, what's our first topic? What's our first topic?
Our first topic. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're planning on talking about maybe like 3 topics, and then we might do a hot take section. You may need to cut this out if it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So first off, we're gonna be planning on talking about Spider-Man, like say the original trilogy, the Amazing Spider-Man double movie, and then coming up to the MCU days, as well as his appearances in Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just see.
And
then the next section would probably be on Pixar, say like our favorite Pixar films, and then and I guess how Pixar has changed over the years and like what's coming up, and Star Wars, and maybe hopefully we can get to episode 8, and like not like rip each other's throats out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then maybe we'll do a hot take section.
Maybe.
So
let's just start right off. Like we said, we're gonna start talking about the Spider-Man. So Gabe, let me ask you this: out of the 3 Spider-Men, who do you think? What studio do you think handled the character the best, and which franchise do you think overall is the best franchise?
Here's the way that I look at it. From my experiences with Spider-Man go like this. I mean, I have only seen, this is one damning thing against me, I have seen Spider-Man 1, I have seen Spider-Man 1 and 2. I never saw the third one because everyone told me it was bad. And I mean, I've seen all the reviews and all that. And I also never saw Amazing Spider-Man 1. But other than that, I have seen all of the other Spider-Man movies. Yeah. And the way that I look at it is that the originals, I love 1 and 2. The originals, like I think they're just such early 2000s.
They're just great movies all around. I completely
agree. I mean, I'm not saying they're like perfect. God, no, they're not perfect. No. They're actually like, that was in the era when like that and X-Men. That was the era when people said, "Hey, comic book movies can actually be really good." And I mean, and the thing about these movies is that they're not actually good. They're actually really, really cheesy. But then again, so are comic books. So
that's exactly why they work, right? Because the cheesiness is what brings the heart and soul into these movies, and what really gravitates the nostalgia,
Exactly, and I mean, and I just like it. It's not afraid to be what it is.
It knows exactly what it is, and it's doing everything deliberately.
It wears its like cheesy dialogue, horrible love like all that love campy crap, like a badge made of gold. Like It wears it like a badge of honor, and I have such respect for that. I mean, it's an easy movie to make fun of, but but that goes with a lot of good movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the way that I see it is that if it's, you can make fun of it, you can point out the flaws, but in the end, the way that I see it, I enjoy watching it. Like, I would be more than happy to watch it again, Yeah. I mean, not like, I'm not saying I watch it like every single day of the week. I mean, I'm just saying like it's a fun movie to revisit, and I mean, you point out the flaws, but it's still enjoyable.
Like I revisited all 3 over quarantine, and I will say that for my standards of a good soup, they hold up well. Like I still enjoy the films, and they're great to go back to and sort of relive.
Exactly. Nostalgia. They're not on the same level of say some of the newer Marvel films. I mean, naturally because because I guess the CGI hasn't aged well, and just some other like crap because that was like 1999. But otherwise, it's they're very, very respectable movies, and I mean, it's just they actually do well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like is Tobey Maguire. I mean, I think his character is like, I like his take. It's the bumbling sort of like loser in the school who suddenly like
gets the.
I mean that's kind of what Peter Parker is, and I mean and I guess I like that aspect. Otherwise, it's just I don't know.
I mean, for each Spider-Man, there's like a give and take on. There's never been a perfect Spider-Man, I don't think, because Tobey Maguire, like for me, I think he's too good of an actor and too old of an actor to be considered. I can't look at him in the movie and be confident that he's like a bumbling teen.
I have the same issue with Andrew Garfield.
That's really the only issue I have with Andrew Garfield.
Because he is an excellent actor in my opinion. I'm not saying I'm not knocking. The thing is that I don't like how he is in the Amazing Spider in those movies. In especially in 2, just the fact I can't picture someone that tall and that like buff and like that handsome and that cute being Peter Parker. I don't know. I mean, maybe I can't
really see it at all, and maybe that's a credit to the writing because I feel like I don't know. Peter Parker didn't feel like himself. Like if this had been like a movie where it was like not a Spider-Man movie, but it was like a guy with similar powers, and that was a story. Then it just didn't feel like Spider-Man to me. That's all.
Yeah, it didn't seem like that.
But that's the gripe I have with Tom Holland, though. Is that this is my gripe with Tom Holland is that he doesn't seem like Spider-Man. He seems like an Iron Man clone because of all the tech in his suit. That's my take on it. Because he shouldn't be able to like have different kinds of webs and like have an audio interface on his. If he just feels like an Iron Man like wannabe, like Buddy in The Incredibles, but a good buddy, but like a good buddy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's the thing about like. Okay, let's see. We'll try and stay on. Tobey Maguire. I mean, those movies. I mean, what's his name? The Green Goblin. Like at that time, like everyone knew the Green Goblin. Everyone knew Doctor Octa.
Doctor Octopus, man.
Doc Ock. Yeah. Doc Ock, my man, dude. Everyone knew him, and I mean, he was. It's a great. I think that they were really, really good films. What did you think about Spider-Man 3? Did you see that, Henry?
I did end up seeing Spider-Man 3. I remember I've only seen it like once the one time before, but I've seen it twice now. And
I'll say this. Let me just say this. From what I've heard, that it's sort of the problem with it's got a similar problem to Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's got like so many villains that are set up and then just like dropped in like one after another. Like it's just endless video game bosses. Like it's just.
I learned while like researching that Raimi was pressured to put Venom in, and he wasn't originally supposed to be written in as the main villain, but they ended up writing him in at the last minute, and that's why a lot of those Venom scenes are a lot clunkier and a lot like more poorly written. I just think that because the studio wanted to capitalize on all the characters while they could, so like put Venom in here, continue with Sandman, do all this, do all that, and it just didn't measure to a coherent film structure.
Yeah, it didn't. It was too many things happening. Even so, I heard that who's in that? It's Sandman.
Venom. I can never remember all the villains. I'm gonna quickly.
Sandman. What's his face?
I'm the designated looker-upper of this group. So.
Okay, you can Google it.
So yeah, it looks like we had we had Venom, we had Sandman, and then we also had that was the other thing. We also had the storyline with James Franco as Harry Osborn, the Goblin, the new Goblin. So it was like when you have three pretty prominent villains like that.
Oh my god! I completely forgot about that.
It's like, but the thing with this movie is you have three villains who could probably be Spider-Man villains in their own movie, all trying to share the spotlight with, all trying to get the same amount of screen time, and it just doesn't work.
That was what I heard, and I also watched a review saying how they tried to make what's his face, they tried to make the new Green Goblin sort of like a Dark Knight deal, where they establish him as a character that has a damaged psyche, and then sort of like Two-Face in the Dark Knight, where they try and set him up as this guy who is broken, who is an inherently broken man, and then he comes back at some point being the fourth act villain, except this is a 3-act movie, except it was crammed into a 3-act structure, which makes the movie feel very bloated. That's what I read.
I will say I love James Franco and I love a lot of his work, but he was just not a good Green Goblin for me. I just couldn't take anything that he did seriously, and maybe that's a credit to me because I watched a lot of comedy movies. That's also one of my areas of expertise, but wow, was he just very boring and very bland in my opinion. And I just couldn't. I did not buy it. I bought the Amazing Spider-Man's Green Goblin more than I bought the Raimi's new Goblin. The Raimi's new Goblin. So
the second Goblin, yeah.
The second Goblin.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Well, what the first one, I feel like what the first one did right was the actual human interaction between the different characters. Not Spider-Man per se, because he looked older, he looked more mature, but as far as his relationship with Gwen Stacy and his relationship with even the Lizard when they first met, I felt that everything in this movie was genuine, and I felt I could actually see some relationships like this happening in real life. It wasn't too cheesy.
It was more. End. So what you're saying is it was sort of more grounded.
It was a lot more grounded, which is very odd for a Spider-Man film. It's very odd for a Spider-Man film that's going for the comic tropes and I think that's where it fell short as well.
Wait, what?
I think that's where it fell short as well. Because it wasn't grounded.
Leaning into it was too much of a reality TV sitcom sort of deal.
Exactly. There's a give and take when going there, and I understand why they did it. I was reading a couple of things where they're trying to distance themselves from the Raimi franchise by trying to be a little bit more, make him a little bit more humanized.
Well, yeah. Then again, it was a purpose. It was purposefully a reboot. So just.
That's why they got an actor of the caliber of Andrew Garfield to come and play him. Because they thought they were going to get just a really good. Maybe even they were skewing a little drama. Maybe even they're skewing a little bit.
Exactly. So, they were trying to tap into that part of him.
Even
as an
I'm
actor.
looking at this stuff. It's the logo's dark. Everything's sort of a little bit darker register on the posters, and even the movie's a little bit darker.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, even with the first one, even with the second one, it takes sort of a darker tone to it. And it makes him sort of just... But, that's the thing I have with the second one, is that it tries to be two things at once. You know what I mean? Because, it's sort of... It tries to be sort of gritty, but at points it just has humor that I guess just... I don't know. To me, it falls on its face.
I don't think really anything worked. My least favorite Spider-Man movie of all time is Spider-Man 3, but that's followed closely by The Amazing Spider-Man 2. They're neck and neck for my least favorite Spider-Man movie because I just did not take Electro seriously at all. I
didn't like that creation of a villain. He was just an over obsessed creep.
I feel they had an idea and just amped it up so that all like I don't know. I just felt like they amped up Electro's character like so much. Like they kept showing him like being under the mentorship, and then it's like we've seen that before, and we've seen this sort of storyline where it's like the mentee becomes the villain. We've seen that a lot, and we've seen it work. But here, it just didn't work for some reason. I'm trying, and I can't figure out why. Because I know it can work.
In this movie, I guess it just wasn't really written well. Because I mean, it doesn't seem his change from from Spider-Man fanboy to Electro. Like when he becomes Electro,
it didn't feel warranted. It didn't feel.
It doesn't really, like, I mean, when he becomes Electro, like, I don't understand, like, why he completely oh, fuck, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I just don't fully understand why he's in love with Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, like, now that he's, like, got these powers, I don't know, it didn't feel warranted.
It felt like we needed a few more like scenes in there where there was some development, but you can't just jump right like.
Yeah, it really like it gives you sort of whiplash because just all of a sudden like he's like a Spider-Man fanboy and then he's like evil.
Well,
and then he says, "Spider-Man is my true enemy." Like I mean,
to be fair, if we're looking at Iron Man 2 and if we're looking at whiplash in that movie, I feel like they did it like while they didn't do it the best, I feel like they did it significantly better than this movie.
Oh no, I was just saying just as like whiplash as in it's just a sudden.
Oh, okay. Well, I was actually now I'm gonna actually compare him to Whiplash in Iron Man 2.
It's sort of like it like takes place around the end of the original Iron Man when he says, like, I am Iron Man. And then, like, what's his face? Vanko's father was like Howard Stark's like closest friend.
Yeah.
And then it turned out he was trying to create it himself, like trying to create the arc reactor himself, and like trying to replicate the technology himself, and actually like trying to sell blueprints.
I haven't seen the movie in so long, but now I'm remembering it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was trying to like basically he was trying to profit off of Stark's work, like on his own accord. He tried to pass it off as his own, and then Howard Stark got angry. They had a falling out, and his father ended up getting deported, and ended up not receiving any credit for any work that he did because the two worked on the arc reactor together.
But like you see, saying all that means that there's while the villain was cheesy, there was some motivation behind there. There was some pain. There was something. And I just feel like behind Electro, there was nothing but a fanboy and
that's
somebody
the thing,
who just...
is that it's just like like
great sound effect, man. But yeah, it's just blah.
Blah.
It's what it is, though. Like, no joke. That's what I felt throughout watching his whole like. The whole like second half of the film or second act or whatever when Electro was the
focus. when he became the
before the whole Gwen Stacy crap happened, like just that whole thing was like I didn't buy into it at all.
Yeah.
But
and that whole like plot line about like Gwen Stacy when she fell, like I thought that they were really like trying to get into that drama feel from what's his face.
I mean, because who would think that they would just kill Gwen Stacy when at the time they had plans to make a third, right? I mean, that's something like a really dark, gritty drama film would do, and I think that just goes to show what they were going for with these.
Yeah, but did you? I remember like hearing in a review of like Spider-Man 2. Was that they were saying how they were maybe going to revive her in Amazing Spider-Man 3.
I mean, I don't know if that'd be the best. I mean, I would if they had made a third, which they're planning on it with like the Sinister Six thing. I think without Gwen Stacy, that would give him more grief and Spider-Man at least more grief and more motivation to go out and get these guys. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we can never know what the script writers had in mind, but I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, you want to see the film
I want
that
to
never
see because
was.
they planned a trilogy, and I just want to know what they would have done or something. Maybe
Exactly.
it's online or something. I don't know. But
what's his name? I think Webb actually was the one talking about how they were planning on like reviving Gwen Stacy, and it was just really, really janky.
But
I don't know.
Reviving is a tough subject in superhero movies because people constantly get revived, and
it's a tough thing in any movie franchise, like in any movies. I mean, in comics, characters die and come back like clockwork. Like it doesn't matter about any of that. So I mean, really, so literally, that's like all. I mean, in comics,
no one's ever really dead in comics.
In comics, it's an easier pill to swallow because you accept it like, oh, this stuff is made up. But when you have like a more gritty film, like even like say Inception, like or The Dark Knight, like especially with The Dark Knight, sort of like grounded films that are supposed to be like tooth and nail.
Well, that's because. That's because you can do Batman that way because of how the character is written. You can get away with the dark themes and all of that because of the way Gotham, the city, is structured and all the crime and just everything that happens in that universe.
Yeah, but what I mean is that it just has to deal with what characters you're talking about, and I guess the world that they live in. Like for the X-Men universe, it didn't matter because they had time travel. With the MCU, it doesn't matter because everyone's already coming back. Like hell, even Vision is coming back.
Vision's definitely coming back.
For WandaVision, you know what I mean?
Which I would talk about, but I'm not sure if we're going to have time because there's some interesting new news on that we can get to.
Oh, no, we'll talk about that another time.
When it hurts like this.